God, my double chin.
What double chin?
Hello, fellow yappers. I'm Ruchi.
And I'm Shalini, and we're your hosts of Binge, Yap, Repeat.
We're two best friends who spend an embarrassing amount of time binge watching TV, and honestly, we just need to talk about it. If you're here, we're guessing you do too.
Fair warning, this is a spoiler-friendly zone. We will be discussing lots of spoilers. So, if you haven't watched the show yet, hit pause, go binge, and come back when you're ready to yap with us.
And now, it's yap time.
Okay, wait, I'm gonna take my sweater off. Oh, it's too hot.
Okay. Ooh, Rivian. Good sweaters, though.
Say what you want about their cars, but their sweaters are great.
Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, a lot of them had Rivian cars.
I noticed that. I noticed Michaela had a Rivian.
Oh,
Did anyone
was it
else?
no one else? I feel like I saw a lot of Rivian cars. Maybe it was just Michaela.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Should we say hello? Let's say hello. Hi.
Hello.
Welcome
Welcome, everyone.
to another episode of Binge Yap Repeat.
Yeah, repeat. Did we say that in unison?
No, we did not. Oh, should we clap?
Oh, 1, 2, 3. Nope.
Nope, that's okay. That's okay.
Oh, yappers, the woes of remote recording.
Well, today we're going to talk about Ginny and Georgia season 3 that Shalini and I finished earlier today. We're ambitious. Some say we're crazy.
Some say we're committed to the cause.
Some don't know about us at all, so they can't say anything.
Some don't even care enough to say what they think about us.
But Shalini and I were talking about this earlier, but we have been spoiled. Like, this whole season felt like it was spoiled because we just saw so much on Instagram of like, oh my God, the finale was crazy. Oh, I hated it when Marcus did this. And oh, I'm so glad that this thing happened with Georgia. And I was like, I'm still watching it. Like, what the heck? Why are there so many posts about all the spoilers that are going on? It's so crazy.
Like, the show has been out for 2 days. Have some courtesy, people. You gotta warn people before you spoil on Instagram like that.
Yeah, at least in our podcast, we have it in our intro that this is a spoiler-friendly zone, and we will be discussing lots of spoilers. But ain't no one getting that courtesy on Instagram. What the
Zero
heck?
courtesy. Kids these days.
So anyway, a lot of this season I felt like wasn't really a surprise, but yeah.
Yeah, the big one for me was Georgia's pregnancy. I was just like, all right, when are we gonna find out? And it was literally the last second.
Yeah, I got spoiled for that because I think it was like a Google alert or something that went to my phone about Ginny and Georgia season 3, and the article headline was like, season 3 ends with Georgia's pregnancy, and I was like, huh?
What?
And I hadn't even watched the final episode yet, and I was like, I guess she's pregnant. Okay, let's get into it. I want to talk about this.
Okay.
So, Ginny and Georgia is an American comedy drama television series created by Sarah Lampert that was released on Netflix on February 24th, 2021. That was the first season. The show was then renewed for 4 seasons, and season 3 was released on June 5th, 2025. And if you haven't seen Ginny and Georgia before, you got a lot to catch up on. There's 3 seasons that are out right now. But the basic premise is that Georgia Miller and her family, consisting of teenager Ginny Miller and 9-year-old Austin Miller, arrive in Wellsbury, Massachusetts, seeking a fresh start. Shalini, what were your overall thoughts for this season?
Well, I really, really loved this season. I was trying to think back to previous seasons. I remember loving season one. Actually, throwback to season one, we watched it together. During the pandemic, we like came together for this really small trip with Yumi and Jing, who has also been on this podcast. And watching season three really brought me back to the pandemic and watching that together in our Airbnb in Charleston. And being
Yeah,
like, we're so into this show.
I think also the ambiance was right because Georgia Miller, the character, has a very thick Southern accent. And when we were watching it in Charleston, we were like, we are so Southern right now. It
We
felt
are
very
Southern
appropriate.
belles, just like Georgia.
Yeah, exactly. It was really nice.
Yeah. I remember thinking that season two felt just a little too different from season one, and that, like, I don't know. I think, Max and Ginny's friendship just suddenly fell apart and took so long to come back together. I felt like not a lot happened, the plot wasn't progressing super quickly. And I remember by episode 7 of season 2, I was like, what has even happened this season? In contrast, I feel like season 3 was so action packed. Things were happening every single episode. Ginny's personal life was changing all the time. Obviously, Georgia's trial was kind of the overarching plot of the season. I thought there was a lot of interesting character arcs and subplots that were told in a not in your face way, like I feel like a lot of high school dramas are. So that was quite refreshing, and I was really invested in all of the characters, and I have so much love for all of the characters, and I felt conflicted about whose side I was on and so many things. Yes, I absolutely loved this season.
Yeah, I thought it was a really great season. I agree. I think a lot of the side characters and side plots were really fleshed out, and I felt really invested in all of those characters. I did feel like it dragged a little bit at the beginning. I remember thinking in episode 3 or so, I was like, okay, I know, like, definitely the trial is going to happen, but it hasn't happened yet. It felt like they were teeing up a lot of things that just didn't. It was taking a while for it to start. But I agree. I think once it got past that point, it was like boom, 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 boom. Every scene was like, oh my God, what is happening now? So yeah, I agree. I really like this season. I don't really remember what happened in season 2, to be honest. I
Yeah,
think it was a bit
honestly,
more.
me neither. And I don't think very much happened. I think it was that on Ginny's side, she and Marcus started dating officially. But then at the end of the season, he breaks up with her because he's too depressed, and just doesn't want to put that burden on her. And then on her friendship side, I think she and Max start out not being friends because Max is mad that she kept the fact that she was with, or she was like in love with
Dating
Marcus or like
Marcus.
had slept with
Yeah.
Marcus from her. And so Abby and Ginny get really close because Max is also mad at Abby because Abby knew. And then Max and Nora become close. And so it's like 2v2 for a lot of it. And then on the Georgia side, I think it's just that season 2 is when we learn about Gil and
Yes.
that backstory. We're introduced to him. Um, and I think we just learn a little bit more about her past. And then at the same time, Paul proposes to her, so they're like gearing up for this big wedding. I think that was the gist of
Yeah,
season 2.
yeah. Gil being Walmart Neil Patrick Harris. Every
That's
time
so
I see.
accurate.
Yeah, season 2 was more about Gil and the backstory for sure. Yeah, so if season 2 was a 2v2 with Max and Nora versus Abby and Ginny, season 3 was a 3v1. I don't know why poor Max was just excluded. Like everyone just hung out without her or like just didn't involve her at all. And I know that the way that they showed it in this season was a lot of, oh, we just happened to hang out and things just happened to be here. Like we just happened to be dress shopping at the same time. But it definitely wasn't texted that way in the group chat. And so it led to some hurt feelings. And then I was like, why didn't they just say that it happened all accidentally? I don't know. I felt really bad for Max this season.
My heart, I would say the character that broke my heart the most this season was Max. Like, she has been there for every single friend from day one, defending them, fighting for them, being there for them as a sounding board or whatever, as a source of comfort. And then everyone just turns on her, and then she starts to react to it, and they're like, stop being dramatic. And it
Yeah.
was so unfair, and I just felt like no one in her life was taking care of her. Her mom and dad are too busy taking care of Marcus. Marcus is too busy trying to take care of himself. Ginny has so much shit going on. Her other two friends think she's too dramatic. Her girlfriend, Silver, doesn't think anything's ever wrong with anything ever. I was just like, Max, my heart. And I also really identified with her just as kind of the sibling that like needs to be okay. 'Cause I feel like that happens so much in families where one sibling kind of has more going on that the parents need to focus on, and as a result the other sibling just has to put on this happy face, has to put on this front to show the parents, like, don't worry, I know you have your hands full, so I'm fine and I will be fine. And
Yeah.
but then there's no one looking out for her. It just broke my heart so much. Justice for Maxine.
Yeah. No one watches the watcher.
No one
No
watches the
one takes care of the
Watcher.
caretaker. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt bad for her too. I think it got to the point where I think it was the last episode where she's doing her play, Moose. Love that play, by the way. I wanted to watch that full play. I was like, wow, the set design and costumes are so good. Anyway, with when she was performing at Moose, and then she was looking at Marcus and the audience, and he's sipping from this bottle, and she's like, "Oh my God, I know he's an alcoholic, but I can't do anything." I actually thought that she was gonna do something on stage and just like completely lose it, but she doesn't. She keeps it together. Amazing performance, amazing showmanship, and after the show, she's like, "What the hell, Marcus? I'm gonna tell our parents." And I thought that was also a testament to how we kind of expect her to crumble in front of all of this pressure, but she doesn't. She just keeps it together because she needs to keep it together, and everyone is relying on her to keep it together. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I really felt bad for Max.
I know, it was so sad, and sure, when she's in a good mood, she is a very theatrical person. That doesn't mean that every single time she expresses something, it's an overreaction or that she's dramatic. I was getting so upset. So at the beginning of the season, when she's telling everyone about what's happening with the trial and how like Jenny's been keeping her in the loop, and Marcus is like, Max, don't make this about you. I was like, that's actually fair, because she kind of was a little bit making it about herself, or she was just relishing the fact that she was so close to Ginny and she knew everything going on. I
Yeah.
thought that was fair. But by the end of the season, when Marcus says that to Max, like, don't make this about you, I was like, she's literally not. And she was so right when she had that fight with Marcus. And she's like, actually, everything's about you. Because no one in this fucking town can focus on me because everyone's focusing on you. And I was like, that's so fair. Like, obviously, he has a lot going on. She's not even trying to discount that. She's just like, you don't even realize, because everything's about you, that nothing's about me. You think everything's about me.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad that she pushed back. I think everything that she said to Marcus at the end was super valid. I
Yeah.
think we're both coming from this as maybe, I don't know. I also feel like I'm the sibling who like has it together. And so every family conversation is always about my sister. And like, oh, like, is she doing okay? Like, what's she up to? And I'm like, all right. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And like, to be fair, I've never felt like my parents don't value when I have an issue in the same way that I think Maxine's parents disregard her emotions sometimes. Um, but it must be really hard. And the fact that she kept it together during the performance is like, oh my God, like, you're so mature. You're so mature. And even after that, even after Marcus says he's never going to speak to her again, even after all of her friends ditch her, she is still fighting for Marcus's well-being. Like, she
Yeah.
still goes to the party, tries to bring him home. When his parents send him to his room, she doesn't like break down crying and isn't like, Mom, no one's taking care of me. She's like, Mom, you have to get Marcus help. It's
Yeah.
just, ugh.
And during the
Max.
performance, she was also fighting with Sophie and Silver at the same time while dealing with Marcus, while also knowing that Ginny wasn't there for her performance.
Yeah. This girl
Insane.
is doing it all. She is doing so much, and no one appreciates her.
I did appreciate the one insight that we got into Max's thought process, that scene where she's like, do I tell Ginny about her mom? Do I talk to Marcus that his bike is gone? Is Marcus okay? I need to do my homework. I need an essay, and I need to do this essay so that I can do my performance. And then I would have to do both at the same time. I also have to put the chicken in the oven. She was thinking about all of these things. One thing that I noticed is when she went to turn off the lights, she like turned it off and on, and then she turned it off and on and was like, oh, my family's gonna die, off and on again, and then she left, right? Did you catch that? I was like, does
No.
she have OCD?
Oh. I don't know if she has OCD. It was definitely giving ADHD, that whole monologue.
Yes.
But I didn't notice the lights thing at all.
Yeah, so definitely I was like, okay, maybe ADHD, but then when she did that thing with the lights, she flipped the switch, then she flipped the switch again, and then she was like, oh, I didn't do this right, my family's gonna die, and then she flipped the switch again, and then she moved on. And I was like, I feel like that's OCD behavior. Also, I don't know if that's the right term anymore.
Oh, for like the compulsive, like, gotta do things 3 times kind of thing.
Yes. I'm not sure. Okay, I think it is OCD, but okay, listeners, correct me if I'm wrong. If it's not OCD, if that's not the right term, let me know. But yes, I think it is OCD in terms of she felt this compulsive need to turn the light switch on and off a certain way, a certain number of times, so that her family doesn't die. So that's kind of what I read it as. But then they didn't get into that at all. So I was a little confused. I was like, okay, maybe that's something that will be explored in season 4, perhaps. Not sure, but yeah, I was like, what was that? And then it just kind of moved on.
Yeah. Interesting. I did think there was a lot of unresolved things about the Max storyline, so maybe that is something that will come back. Or maybe it was just to show that she's like a quirky, superstitious person that's like, I must do this 3 times or my family's gonna die, but more as a superstition than a compulsion. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah, I
But
don't know.
yeah, going back to the inner dialogue when she's like, "Oh, my math homework, I can't do that. I have to play, but I also have to write an essay. It'll suck to do both of those things in the same night, blah blah blah." I was like, this is such an accurate depiction of the inside of my brain. Just constantly I'm like, I need to take Maui out, but I have to go to the gym today, but I need to eat healthy. What should I eat today? Did I do groceries? What's in my fridge? Like literally the same dialogue in my head.
Yeah, same. I think everyone has that dialogue of just like, I need to do a million things and I can only do 1,000 of them. What is my priority?
Well, so once I asked my boyfriend at the time, but ex-Wes, like, so we both drove to work in our separate cars, and like my entire commute, I would be like, oh my God, what time am I going to get to work? How much time am I going to have before my first meeting? Blah, blah, blah. And then like when we both parked, once I was like, so what was going through your head when you were driving? And he was like, no brain activity. And I was like, what?
What does it mean to not be an overthinker? What the
I
heck?
know. So that's why I was like, well, maybe not everyone is like this.
Wow. Is this a woman thing? Is this a gender thing?
It very well, maybe. I don't know. I
Wow.
do think women overthink more than men do. And I think actually, let me rephrase that. I think men underthink and women think
Yes.
to the level that they should be thinking. Sometimes they can overthink, but men more often underthink.
I totally agree. Actually, I was having like a conversation with Andrew, and I was talking to him about, I was like, "Oh, I feel like I always think about how you will react to the things that I say, and then I kind of like change my actions or change my words accordingly so that we get a more productive outcome." But I feel like whenever you say things, I don't think you think about, how I will react to it, and you just kind of say whatever. And he was like, "Oh, that seems like a lot of overhead on your part." And then I was like, "Yeah, it is a lot of overhead." But then I was thinking about this, and I was like, "Why is it that when I say something like this, it's like a Ruchi is doing too much instead of Andrew is
I
doing
should
too
be doing
little?"
more.
Yeah, like
Yeah, it's
I
so
need you to think about
interesting.
this. I need you to reflect
Yeah.
on this.
Please, sir, reflect.
Yeah.
That actually reminds me of, I think, the end of that same episode. We also hear Maxine's inner thoughts. I actually wrote it down because I identified with it so much. But after she and Marcus have their fight, and then she kind of turns over in bed and is scrolling on her phone and liking the pictures of her friends when they were hanging out without her. So she says, because he's like, "You don't understand how I feel," and then he storms off. And then she says, "I understand how he feels because I feel it too. I just hide it better. I worry about him all the time. Does he worry about me too? Does anyone think about me as much as I think about them? I know I feel too much, but isn't that good too? Because I would do anything for the people I love." I was like, oh my
Aw.
God, yeah. She probably does think about him way more than he thinks about her.
Yeah, that's so true. Wait, was that Max who said it or?
Yeah, that was Max who said that after she and
No.
Marcus fight. Yeah.
Max, the unsung
Max.
victim of the season.
I know. Justice for Max.
Justice for Max.
Like,
Yeah,
who's taking care of her? Just want to give her a big ol' hug.
yeah. Okay, speaking of girlfriend, who do you ship with Max?
I think personality-wise, Sophie for sure. They just click way better than she and Silver do. But I think it's totally valid that Max doesn't want to get back together with Sophie because Sophie just ditched her out of the blue, and you can't
Well,
just get over something like that.
what was their breakup story again? I honestly completely forgot about Sophie.
It
I was
was
like, who's Sophie? When the season started, and I was like, oh, I kind of vaguely remember her, but I'm not sure.
I think they break up towards the end of season 1, and I think it's because Sophie says that Max is too much of a kid for her or is too immature or something.
Mm,
I think that was the reason, and then she was like, "Oh, I'm going to college next year, so like, why does it even like does none of this matters?" So I don't think we need to be
mm.
together. Yeah.
Here we are, 4 years later, still in sophomore year.
You could have gotten a whole ass degree by now, Sophie, and what you doing? You're still in the school play.
So, you know who else? Unfortunately, time has not escaped Austin, who is now the oldest 9-year-old that has ever been. I
This poor actor is fighting for his life.
What are they gonna do in season 4? Are they just gonna keep going?
Are they just gonna pray that he stops growing and his voice stops deepening? Like,
Yeah.
what?
Are they gonna just magically send him to summer camp or send him to Michigan so that they just write him out of the show?
Dude, it's so funny. I actually even felt that when season 2 came out. I was like, oh, Austin's noticeably older. But now when I look back at season 2 and season 3, I'm like, he was still young. It's crazy that I noticed that difference and he's like 4x that difference now.
Seriously. Oh my gosh. There was an Instagram reel that I saw that was like the end of season 2. It's like Austin as a really young kid just like running away when Georgia gets arrested. And then in season 3 and like Ginny's running after him and then season 3 starts with Ginny being like, "Austin, are you okay?" And it's like this grown boy, this teenage boy, instead of the 9-year-old that ran away.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we're supposed to believe that only 5 minutes have passed between these two scenes?
Yeah, they were like he grew up in 10 seconds.
Oh my God, yeah. So this actor, his name is Diesel La Torraca. He's Australian and he is 14 years old, supposed
Yes.
to be playing a 9-year-old. He's taller than Ginny, basically the same age as Ginny is supposed to be in the show. Also, his friend Zach, whenever they showed him, Zach is like taller than his mother. He's supposed to be 9 years old.
I was like, something's in the water at Willsbury. These 9-year-olds are big and strong. Yeah, it did take me out a little bit because there were many scenes where Austin was like acting the way that a 9-year-old would act, but it was so weird because he just looked old that I was like, why is he acting like this? Oh, right, he's supposed to be 9 in this scene. That's why. He's still a child. He's still a child.
Yup. And I could tell, I mean, I guess the character Austin has always been quite quiet, but I feel like they tried to make him extra quiet just to not draw attention to his deepened voice.
Yes. Oh my gosh, his voice was so deep. And I didn't realize that it was that bad until I saw scenes from season 2 where I was like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, this is very different."
Puberty came for him hard and fast.
Completely unrelated. I have a fun fact with Scott Porter, who is the mayor of Wellsbury and also Ginny's husband at the start of season 3.
Paul Randolph.
Paul Randolph, yes, Mayor Paul Randolph. Scott Porter, guess what, is also from Central Florida.
Oh, I think I knew he was from the South because he was on Friday Night Lights, and I don't know, I just thought all of them were from the South.
And not only was he from Central Florida, but he also did a cappella.
No way.
Yes, he was a
What?
founding member of Voice Play, which is an a cappella group from Orlando, Florida, and they actually participated in the Sing Off season 4.
He was in it?
No, he wasn't in it. So I
Okay.
think what happened is they went to UCF. They formed this a cappella group after UCF. There was like 5 members. So Scott Porter was
Hmm.
one of them. And then he and another member went off to do their own thing. So Scott Porter went off to do acting, and then another member went off to do Broadway. And then the 3 remaining members just kind of like filled in people. And then those members went and did the Sing Off season 4, the same season as the Philharmonic, the Filipino a cappella group.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Wow, I never would have pegged him for an a cappella boy. I
Yeah.
think because I was introduced to him as Jason Street from Friday Night Lights, who's like the quintessential popular quarterback guy.
Oh, I see. I didn't watch Friday Night Lights, so I didn't really know that he was on Friday Night Lights
Mm.
until I started looking him up because of the a cappella thing.
Oh.
But yeah, I found this out because I was like on YouTube, and then I follow I follow Voice Play on YouTube, and then this came up. It was like Voice Play, like featuring Until I Found You, featuring Scott Porter, and I was like, what? So
That's
Until I
wild.
Found You is the song I think that plays at the end of season 2, where it's like Georgia. Na, 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 na.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Scott Porter sang that song with Voice Play. So
Stop.
we
That's
can put
so
that
funny.
in our YouTube video as like a related video or something. But
I
yeah,
love it.
I was freaking out.
That's crazy. I would have never thought of him as an a cappella boy.
For new time listeners, Shalini and I did a cappella in college and after college, so we are big a
True.
cappella nerds. So that's why this is especially exciting for us.
He's one of us. Yeah, I actually like never tell people I did a cappella.
Well,
Not because I'm embarrassed to have done it, but because I think people make assumptions about me when they hear I did a cappella that are very inaccurate.
that's fair. I think it's the same for Caltech.
Very true. Oh, going back to Austin being like way older than his character, when Marcus vandalizes the AP English teacher's classroom and then they're talking about it, like Georgia's talking about it with Ginny and Austin, and Austin's like, well, it's supposed to be 9-year-old Austin being like, what's vandalism? But it's 14-year-old Diesel Latoraka being like, what's vandalism? I was like, okay, you teenager, you don't know what vandalism is.
Yeah, I think that was a moment where I was like, is he does he not? And then I was like, oh, right. He's a 9-year-old. He's a 9-year-old. I mean, I think that was important to kind of justify what he did in the classroom afterwards, so they couldn't be like, should we cut this? Is it weird? Okay.
Can we talk about Georgia's trial for a bit?
Yes. Okay.
Okay. In what world would the potential jurors be people that were on her lawn the day before? Like,
Yeah.
so unrealistic. She's like, oh, I know everything about these people because I happened to overhear 10 seconds of dialogue.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I, I didn't know if they were making a point that Wellsbury was a really small town, or if Georgia just knew that many people that she knew exactly what was going on with every single person in Wellsbury. That could be part of
But
it, but yeah.
I think for small towns, I mean, my town didn't have a courthouse. It was the county courthouse. And so, like, you would get summoned throughout the county. So, like, there was no reason she should know anyone on the jury. And they should let the judge or whoever know that they know Georgia and they've been to her house before.
That's a good
Like,
point.
it should not be allowed.
Yeah, that's a very good point. That absolutely should have been part of the jury selection process. Even without Georgia, they would have been like, "Do you know Georgia?" And they'd be like, "Yeah." Get me out of
Yeah,
here.
I just had some food on her lawn yesterday
Yeah. Can I
at
leave
Lawn
now?
Fest.
Yeah, even people, maybe even people who were like, didn't know her would be like, "Yeah, she's hot." And then they'd be like, "Okay, yeah, you're out of here."
Yeah, like the bar was so low for these jurors.
Yeah. It was very impressive though. I liked that scene where she's like, no, she does this, she does this. Oh, actually, one thing that eliminated a juror is Georgia said that they worked at the post office or something, and then the lawyer just like aggressively canceled that
Oh,
person.
yeah.
I was like,
I
why?
wasn't sure. I don't know. I also noticed that and I was like, huh, I wonder what that has anything to do with it. Like, oh, that's a mail carrier. He was like, all right, she's out.
Yeah, I was like, what's wrong with mail carriers? Female carriers? Oh, no, just kidding. Yeah, it was male like MAIL.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. Do you think Tom was also a mail carrier or something?
Oh, now I need to look this.
No, right?
I don't
I
think
don't
so.
know.
Yeah,
Or
Ginny and
maybe mail carriers just know everyone's business because they go to everyone's house.
maybe. No, they just said he was in a coma. Tommy is alive. Yeah, they don't talk about. Sorry, I'm on the Ginny and Georgia fandom.com looking up Tom Fuller, and I'm like scrolling through and there's one comment where some random person, fries with bee sauce, said this actor had the most lazy ass job.
Get wrecked.
Correct.
Wait, I actually had one more thing about Max that I forgot to say.
Oh, say it.
Yeah, okay. The last thing about Max is that, you know, when she approaches Ginny at the party and she tries to have a heart to heart with her, and she's like, I'm not mad at you, blah blah blah, and then Ginny's like, we might just be growing apart. I was like,
Yeah.
bitch, this girl welcomed you to Wellsbury with open arms, got you all of the friends you have, introduced you to the love of your life, and supports it. What are you doing? Ugh. I was actually rooting for Ginny for a lot of this season, and then after that, I was like, no, she's the same self-centered, like, just can't focus on anyone's issues but her own problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of person that she's always been.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that what goes back to our earlier point that Max was just treated so unfairly this season. I mean, even from the beginning, I wrote this down. I wrote down, why do you think she trusted Bracia with her secret versus Max? Like, I think Bracia, yes, is a fine person, but was obviously not the closest to Ginny compared to even the rest of Mang. So why did Bracia get the secret from Ginny about Ginny burning herself or self-injuring versus Max? That's That was really strange to me, to be honest. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Ginny, like, like, not, what is it? Like, isolating or, like, just, like, excluding Max from everything. It didn't really make any sense.
Yeah. I know. I didn't get it either. It just, everything was so inconsistent, or I guess not inconsistent, but just, yeah, there was no reason for that. It didn't make sense to me. Because also, like, at the beginning, she was pretty close with Max. You know, they went on that run together and they were walking in the hallway and they were like, feels like sophomore year's lasting forever. Like, I don't know what shifted from that into what the end of the season became.
Yeah, I really don't know. I really feel like it was unfair. Poor Max.
Yeah. Poor
Max,
Max.
the unsung hero.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the main plot line of season 3, which was Georgia's trial.
All right.
What did you think about her trial?
What did I think about her trial? I think I thought that it was going to go in a very different direction. You know what I thought was going to happen was when Ginny learns that Joe and Cynthia had sex in Blue Farm, I thought what was going to happen was that Ginny was going to use that evidence when she testifies for whatever reason, and then people were going to point to Joe and be like, so he must have murdered Cynthia's husband. And then I thought Georgia would feel like so happy because she's off the hook, but then so sad because suddenly Joe's under fire. I thought that's how the season was going to end. And it's like, oh, dun dun dun. Now the heat is on Joe. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually thought that was going to happen too. I thought it would be something would reveal that Cynthia and Joe were having an affair, and then I think they would try to spin it so that Cynthia was put on trial. And then I think that would kind of ruin the relationship between Joe and Georgia. That's kind of how I saw it going. But then
Yeah.
when Austin came out and was like, my dad did it. I was like, what the heck? Like, what? Like, what? I feel like it's so,
What?
I feel like it's so easy to disprove. And then I was like, why would Gil even do that? And then it cuts to Georgia and Austin talking about, oh, we need a motive. Oh, it's because Cynthia.
Oh, Ginny and Austin.
Yeah, Ginny and oh, sorry, what did I say? Georgia?
You said Georgia.
Oh, oops. Yes. Then it cut to Ginny and Austin having a conversation about, okay, we're going to pin it on Gil, but why would Gil do this? We need a motive. Oh, it's because Cynthia blocked his apartment application. And then I was thinking to myself, in what world would someone blocking an apartment application lead to someone killing their comatose husband? Like, those things do not check out. Like, even if he has a history of violence, that's like so weird. So I was
It's
like,
so far-fetched.
yeah, but I guess their point was that they were just wanted to introduce reasonable doubt into the system so that Ginny would be let off the hook, which I understand that. But then what happens next? Is it
Georgia would be let off the hook.
or did I say Ginny? Oh my God. Okay. So I think the point was that Georgia would be let off the hook or introduce reasonable doubt so that Georgia would be let off the hook. But then what happens next? Is it that Gil goes on trial and then
They did say he's wanted and they're looking for him.
but then once that defense, like, the holes get poked through because they obviously are, does Ginny go back on trial? Like, what?
You mean Georgia?
God damn it, yeah. Does Georgia go back on trial?
No, because double jeopardy. You can't be tried twice for the same crime.
Okay. She's like,
but-
the hook forever.
Yeah, she's off the hook forever for Tom's murder. I don't know what happens with the other people she supposedly, like, they claim that she murdered because she's a serial killer. I was wondering, well, A, I can't believe they let Gil leave the courthouse immediately after Austin's like, that man, my dad, killed Tom Fuller. And he's like, well, see ya.
Yeah, I was like, stop that man. Don't let him leave. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, first of all, that. Second of all, I was like, they could, I think, still try Georgia for the murder of Anthony Green and the murder of Kenny, whatever. I think. So I don't think she's totally off the hook for that. Like, I don't remember what the resolution was of Kenny's ex-wife hiring the PI to investigate Georgia. Do you think, did that resolve in season 2? I can't remember at all.
I don't remember. I think the PI was pretty convinced that it was Georgia who did the killings. I don't know if he got any evidence from it, which is why. Oh, okay, here's the other thing. How did the trial even happen? Was it like the PI convinced Cynthia to like accuse Georgia of killing her husband? But like it didn't really seem like they had any hard evidence against Georgia specifically.
Yeah. I don't know, because how did the PI know that Georgia did that?
I think just because he had bad vibes from her. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
Salisbury
know.
criminal justice system needs to be investigated.
Examined. Yeah. Also, like, what do they say for a murder? You need a motive, an opportunity, and
Motive, opportunity. Oh, and means.
oh yeah, and means. Okay. She had the opportunity and the means, but like literally there was no motive. Oh, obviously she did it. She did it. But so like it is true that she's a murderer. But in the trial, like I don't know why the lawyer didn't point to that. It's like she had no motive. What is it to her if this guy dies?
Yeah,
Who cares?
that's
That was not used at all.
They should have hired you, Shalene. That's all I have to say.
I should have been Georgia's lawyer.
Okay, the other thing, I was like, while all of this trial was going on, I was like thinking back to season 2, and I was like, why did she kill that guy? It was like doing a favor to Cynthia, sure, but
She was just sticking her nose in other people's business. It was so
yeah, I
unnecessary.
was like, girl, please. What are you doing?
Please.
Yeah, and then Cynthia comes up to her and is like, what the fuck, dude? Why did you kill my husband? And she was like, favor?
Wasn't it a kindness?
Yeah. And then Cynthia's like, no, the fuck it wasn't. Oh yeah.
What?
I had a fun fact about Wellsbury. So Wellsbury itself is a fictional town in Massachusetts, but people are speculating that it's based on Wellesley in Massachusetts. It's a combination of Wellesley and New
Middlebury?
West
Oh,
Newbury, which are two real Massachusetts town, and that kind of makes sense because Gil's dad said that he had to get an apartment in Watertown. Watertown actually is a real place in Massachusetts, and it's 30 minutes from Wellesley, so it's like, okay. However, the entire show is actually filmed in Canada, so they actually weren't filming in Massachusetts at all. So I think that
Okay.
makes the joke about Georgia wanting to run away to Canada even funnier because they're already in Canada.
Oh, that's funny. I like that. I don't know if that was her breaking the fourth wall, but that reminds me of the other times they broke the fourth wall in this show where, well, one of the times is when Ginny and Max are walking down the halls at school and they're like, oh, I feel like sophomore years lasted forever.
Yes,
Um,
I love
that was funny. And then I think after when does this happen? There's another episode when Nora, Abby, and Ginny are walking. They're like, it feels like sophomore years lasted so long. Like, maybe even 6 years.
I remember that too. I think it was in the final episode. They were like, 3 years? 5 years? Yeah. I was like, girl,
So
you're
funny.
right.
You was so right.
Yeah. Okay, I wanted to talk about another. Well, let's stay with Georgia. Who is your
Okay.
actual ship with Georgia?
Oh, Joe, 100%.
Yeah. And so, okay, this is my theory is that she's got to be pregnant with Joe's baby, right?
It might be Paul's.
You think?
Because they slept together right after she told him she was pregnant. They slept together that night.
Yes.
And that was probably like days before she slept with Joe, right?
Yes, and they are incredibly fertile women. So,
Yes,
oh no.
true.
You think it is? You think
Yeah.
it's Paul's?
I don't know. Okay, this is how George's pregnancy was spoiled for me on Instagram, was this post that was like, me if the baby is Paul's and not Joe's, and it's just this girl like leaving the room dramatically.
Max? No.
Oh, no, Max, you're never too dramatic.
Aw.
Oh, but yeah. I don't know. I mean, I hope it's Joe's, but I feel like just the way this show goes, it's probably Paul's.
Yeah, I think so too. Oh, oh, Georgia, just having kids with every man you're with.
Oh no. Alternatively, maybe we'll find out that she's not actually pregnant and that she just was weirdly craving milk.
Oh, I doubt it. I doubt it.
No.
They wouldn't bait us like
Oh,
that.
no. Or hopefully she just gets an abortion. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, but also at the end of episode 8, where Georgia looked at Ginny's pregnancy test, positive pregnancy test, I knew what she was gonna do. I was like,
Oh,
Georgia,
yeah.
girl.
She was like,
Yeah, it was like literal eyes emoji.
all right. Should we talk about Paul?
Yeah, let's talk about Paul.
Okay. Yeah, he really stuck around long enough that he became the villain, I feel like.
Yeah. Although, okay, they had a really interesting conversation, Georgia and Paul, at the very end, where Paul was like, you made me the worst possible version of myself. And then Georgia says, I didn't do anything to you that wasn't already there. And I thought that was a very interesting conversation. So,
Did that remind you of another TV show we've watched recently?
what? Let me
It
think.
very much reminded me of the theme of Sirens, where the men were like,
Women.
you did this to me. How could you bring me down this road? My life was perfect before I met you. And it's like, bro, you're the one that did all of this shit. Like, she didn't make you do anything. You're an adult.
Yeah. He had a very similar conversation with Nick too, where he's like, Nick, you're fired. You wanted me to support this proposition. You wanted me to divorce, and here I am, and I'm worse off for you, and my marriage is ruined. And Nick is like, bro, that was you. Like, you did that. You have no one to blame but yourself and Georgia for your marriage failing. And I was like,
Yeah,
yeah, that's
Paul
a good point.
Paul's such a spineless nice guy, you know? Like he thinks he's nice and so he does no wrong. And it's like, no, your actions still have consequences.
Yeah,
You take no accountability for your actions.
for sure. Yeah. I do
Boo.
think there is an element of truth though when he was like, you brought out the worst possible version of myself. I think
I think that's possible.
yeah, that's definitely possible in the sense that I feel like I've been in relationships before where I'm like, who was that person? Because I don't think that person was the real me at all.
Yeah.
When I'm with, actually even outside of relationships, just like when I'm with friends or other different people who I know from different aspects of life, I do feel like there are different parts of me that come out. Not that they're worse, that they're like objectively worse or objectively better, but they're certainly different. And I think also being a part of a relationship is understanding what side of you comes out in the presence of that person. So we saw that with Georgia and Joe, right? Where she goes to Joe, she basically just like spills all of her secrets and she's like, I feel really safe with you, and that's why I feel like I'm able to tell you all of these things and I'm able to be the real me in front of you. Whereas Paul is the exact opposite in front of Georgia, where he's like, you drive me up the wall. I don't even know who I am when I'm with you.
Yep.
But also a lot of blaming. It's like, it's not her fault that you are like this. Well,
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah. It's like I think it's fair to say that you bring out the worst in me, but that doesn't mean it's her fault for what he did. Still. Like it's still your fault. You have to take accountability for what you did. You can say you bring out this quality in me so I no longer want to be with you. But you can't say you brought out the worst in me, so how dare you make me do this thing?
Exactly. And that's exactly what Sirens was about too. It's like no one was
Yeah.
making you do these terrible actions that resulted in terrible consequences. You do need to take accountability. Sure, maybe your environment wasn't great, but that doesn't mean anyone forced your hand.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. Even with the, and we saw that I think we saw the opposite perspective from Georgia, where Georgia was like, yeah, I could use this fact that Joe and Cynthia had an affair to get me off the hook and reunite me with my children. But I'm not going to do that because I don't want to do that to Joe. And I don't want to do that.
Yeah. I really liked that she didn't use that in court, that she didn't use Cynthia and Joe's affair in court.
Yeah.
I thought that was very classy.
Yeah.
Go, Georgia. Oh, but man, like, despite her literally being a murderer, I was rooting for her this entire season. And then when she faked that pregnancy, I was like, oh, Georgia, why do you do this? Every time I feel sympathy for you, you do something so batshit.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, Georgia.
Oh, Georgia.
Georgia. Why you fake your pregnancy? I want to talk about Wolf.
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 Poetry guy. My boy Wolf. No, I don't claim him. Nope. I actually found him very irritating.
Yeah, okay. When we first saw him, I also was very irritated by him. I was like, oh, you think you're too cool for poetry because you're a STEM guy? Ew. But then he grew on me when they went on that science center date. I was like, okay, this is kind of cute. And then, with the pregnancy stuff, with the that's wild, I was like, okay, I'm no longer. I was right. My gut reaction was correct.
Yeah. I knew he wasn't endgame, obviously, but I was like, what story are they trying to tell with him? Because if he's a hero, but then Marcus is also a hero, like, what's going on? But then, yeah, then the That's Wild thing happened, and I was like, oh, this.
I did feel like his character was a little inconsistent, though. Did you think that way, too?
Inconsistent in what sense?
I feel like they kind of forced his character to act in certain ways, or maybe it was just the actor doing this. I felt like he was pretty inconsistent because there were situations where he didn't really care about Ginny's murder trial mom stuff going on. He knew that he was just there for fun. But then he also did have an empathetic side to himself that was shown in the science center scene and everything else. But then when she came to him being like, oh, I'm pregnant, and he just said, that's wild, and then kind of like left immediately, I thought that was a little uncharacteristic of him.
I don't know, because I do think they portrayed him consistently as the guy who keeps things light. She was like, oh, it's not serious. I'm just trying to have fun. And he's fun. And he just, they never really had a super deep conversation. He didn't ask any follow-up questions about the murder trial or anything. Maybe that was because he cared for her and didn't want to make her feel pressured to talk about it. But regardless, they never showed them having a deep conversation. So I actually thought it kind of tracked when he was like, oh, suddenly something serious. I don't know how to deal with this. I'm gonna go, Mm-hmm. So he was nice, but I don't think he was deep. I think that was the story they were trying to tell with him.
That's true, I guess. But then there was another follow-up conversation that they had where Ginny said, oh, I didn't think we were anything serious. I thought we were just playing around. We were just having fun. It's not like we really liked each other anyway. And then he looked really hurt by that. So then I was confused about that.
Yeah. Maybe he just doesn't know what love is. Or he's like, oh, you mean relationships aren't just happy fun times all the time? Because I was having fun.
Wolf's poetry on love was like, what is love? Baby, don't hurt me.
Oh, I had something.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So, how we had that, I guess, two subplots that were going simultaneously, but were going kind of unrelatedly, were one, Nora's pregnancy scare, and two, Abby's kind of struggle with disordered eating, and bulimia. I thought I thought Nora's pregnancy scare kind of came out of nowhere. Like, it felt very contrived to, like, expose Ginny's pregnancy, and just writing quality wise, I thought it was very contrived.
I think that was another thing that I was like, are they teeing something up for season 4? Like, is Max gonna have OCD and then Nora has PCOS or something?
Something. Maybe. So maybe that's a story that they just began, but to me it felt like the pregnancy scare was like so contrived just to expose Ginny's pregnancy. What I thought would have been very interesting and like better writing was if Abby, well, they said that Abby's a virgin, but if she wasn't a virgin, if she was bulimic, and if she had lost so much weight so quickly that she lost her period, and then she thought she was pregnant because she lost her period, but turns out it was just her disordered eating, and then that's how that exposed Ginny's pregnancy. I felt like that would have been a very creative way to like tie the storylines together.
Oh, instead of just throwing in Nora being like, oh, yes,
Yeah,
I did.
yeah, which was so random. It felt like Layla in Secret Lives of Mormon Wives being coming in and being like, "Let's play pregnancy roulette because my period is 3 days late."
It absolutely did feel like that when Max brought in all those pregnancy tests and we're like, we're all gonna take them together. I was like, okay, so Ginny's pregnant. That's what this Why else would a group of friends take pregnancy tests together? It makes no sense. Have Nora take all of those tests.
Right.
And shame on Ginny for not taking another one immediately. I'm
I
glad,
know.
or yeah, I'm glad that Georgia made Ginny take another test because like the first thing I said was like, oh, are you sure? Take another
False
one.
positive?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Um,
ABSS. Always be
always
statistically significant.
nice. ABSS.
That's what we always say. Oh wait, yeah, should we talk about how there are no like everyone at this school has like severe issues going on. Everyone has issues. We were like, where are the mathletes? Where are the science Olympiad winners?
Where are the athletes? I didn't see a single person playing sports. Where are
Yeah,
all our committed student athletes?
everyone's going to Brody's basement after school. Like,
Dude, they're spending all
bro,
their time at Brody's basement. Blue Farm. How are you going to Blue Farm that many times a week? Don't you have homework and sports to do?
Max does. Max is the only person actually doing her homework and like participating in after school activities.
Yeah, actually committed to her school musical.
Come on. Come on. I guess Jenny has her poetry class.
Oh yeah, her poetry class. During our Forever episode, we were talking about how those high schoolers were portrayed so accurately because they were so multifaceted.
Mhm.
The opposite is true for Ginny and Georgia, where all of these high schoolers are negative faceted.
Yes.
They're just dealing with their full-time job is dealing with issues.
Yes, true. True. Oh my gosh.
Did you notice how the music this season, it was really, to me, it was giving like Love is Blind soundtrack at some parts. One part I can think of is after Austin testifies and he's like, "It was my dad." And then the music comes in and it's like, "This is how villains are made."
Wait, actually, I did notice that. Oh my God.
So funny. I was like, "Oh, this is real on the nose." Okay.
Gil's dad is a villain, but he's also a scapegoat. Oh, one thing I
All
did
right.
want to call out was
Oh
that
yeah.
Joe gave Cynthia some comfort food, and when she returned the when she returned the glassware, she was like, "What was that?" And he was like, "Oh, it's a kari pakora." And I was like, "Nothing like some kari pakora comfort food."
So true. That was so funny. I was like, man, why don't you have an Indian restaurant? What's with all this white people food that you serve?
Yeah, what is blue farm? It should be Neil.
Oh my gosh. Oh, also about Joe, I loved how Ginny and Padma were just like casually roasting him every chance they got. Where they were like, oh, he said he had a personal errand to run. And Ginny's like, ew, what does that mean?
Hey, Padma and Joe, siblings IRL.
I saw that. I had no idea. I actually thought they were supposed to be siblings in the show. But then I was like, oh, maybe I read that they're siblings in real life and thought that they were siblings on the show.
I think they are siblings on the show as well.
Oh,
Oh, wait, maybe they're not.
they have different last names on the show.
Yes, they have different last names on the show.
Okay.
Okay, but yeah,
Okay.
they are
Siblings IRL. That's
Yes.
so cute.
Yeah.
That's so cute. The other funny roasting moment was when they're, I think Ginny comes up to Padma, who's behind the counter, and Padma's like, I miss you working here. Ginny's like, yeah, me too. And then Joe comes up, and they're like, and she's like, I miss making fun of Joe with you. And Joe's like, hey, I'm just standing here. And then they're like, but look at how he's standing.
Aww. And then
So cute.
I also thought it was really cute how Ginny went up to Joe and was like, oh, Joe, you're so baby girl. And he was like, I don't know what that means. And she's like, it's a compliment.
So cute.
Aw.
He's just a little sensy baby girl.
Aw, little baby
Aw.
girl.
The baby girl. I had one interesting thing is that, so you know how we were talking about how season 3 quality felt much higher than season 2, or maybe that we just liked season 3 way better than season 2. Apparently, there's a new showrunner for seasons 3 and 4. Her name is Sarah Lampert. Nope. Her name is... Sorry. Sarah Lampert is the show's creator and executive producer, which is
Yeah.
still true for seasons 1 through 4. But the new showrunner, her name is also Sarah, to be fair. But the new showrunner's name is Sarah Glinsky. So yeah, she came in and I think that's gotta be why season 3 was so much better than season 2. Supposed to turn some shit around, because, yeah, I thought season 2, I was like, nothing's happening, this is so boring, I'm, like, less invested in every single one of these characters, and then suddenly season 3, I'm, like, so invested in every single character.
Yeah. Except maybe it's also the fact that they were renewed for season 3 and season 4 at the same time. So they had more time and space to kind of craft and think about overall plot lines
Like,
and everything.
long form storytelling.
Yeah. But I agree. I think just as a whole, season 3 had a lot more long running plots. I love that style where there's like one long running plot and then you have your side characters that at the end come back to affect the long running plot. I love that style. So yeah, I think that's probably the new showrunner's idea or
Nice.
and
Love it.
great.
And then, we didn't talk about Marcus at all. And his arc this season with depression. What did you think of that scene after he comes back from Brody's basement?
Yeah, that made my heart break a little bit. But I think coming back to the whole how we started this episode where there were a lot of spoilers on social media, that was one that people kept talking about. So I knew that it was coming. And so when it actually happened, I think I still felt bad for Marcus, but I didn't feel as much as I think I would have felt.
Yeah, that's so fair. It was also spoiled for me. But I thought his performance was very powerful. And I started tearing up, not surprisingly, not because of Marcus's performance, but because of when they panned over to Max's face and she's just like so distraught and doesn't know how to express her emotions, but she knows she has to keep it together because right now it's about Marcus. That's when my heart broke and I started crying. But that just, I felt so bad for their whole family.
Yeah. And I'm glad that it sounded like at the end Ellen was taking him to rehab, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'm glad she chose his mental health and wellness instead of his academic success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe she didn't put him in therapy before that. When he had severe depression, she's like, here's an art studio. And that was her only solution? Come on, give him the art studio and therapy.
Yeah, that's a good question. I wonder why they didn't do that because they definitely seem like the type of family that would do that immediately.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
I really like Ginny with the binoculars. It gave me
Georgia with the binoculars. This new season of Georgia and Ginny.
Season 3, Georgia and Georgia, otherwise known as Ginny and Ginny. Oh my God.
Oh,
Oh, I even wrote Ginny with the binoculars is giving me
oh
life.
no.
Freaking
This has
Georgia.
gone on for so long.
I I can't wait for Ginny to Pretty Woman this guy with the horse vest. God damn it. It's fucking Georgia.
Oh my God. Um, yeah, that was a funny side plot. I was like, ooh, is she gonna like also witness a murder or something?
Oh yeah.
Disturbia style?
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm
No, she
glad.
just helped a man find love by giving
Yeah.
him a dress shirt.
Yeah, and also broke up a marriage.
Yeah, good job, Georgia. Breaking up marriages since 2025.
Got him. Good job, Ginny. Oh my gosh. And also got the idea of the jackhammer at the very end.
Oh yeah, that was good. I was like, oh, there's my Georgia. That's a
Yeah.
classic Georgia move.
Ooh, so what are your predictions for season 4 in terms of who's going to be the next mayor of Wellsbury?
Oh, okay. Did you think, I think this would be crazy, but did you think her Georgia's last meal with Ellen at Blue Farm was kind of queuing up for Georgia to run for mayor?
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, is this where they're going? I'm kind of into it. It would be kind
Yeah.
of crazy. I mean, that would be very high profile for someone who's been hiding her whole life. So I don't know how they're going to do that. Oh, and then we haven't talked about her mom and stepdad driving by their house.
They drove by her house?
Yeah, it was at the very, very end. I think right before Georgia starts drinking milk.
Oh my God, I didn't catch that at all.
Oh my God, yeah. Scary.
Whoa. Well, I was also thinking that Ellen could run for mayor.
Yeah?
But that's also because I saw this reel where the cast of Ginny and Georgia sat down with some interviewer and they were like, "Oh, let's play this game called Pitch It or Ditch It," where they read them fan theories and then the cast had to say whether to pitch it or ditch it. So one fan theory was Georgia convinces Ellen to run for mayor, and then all of the cast was like, "Pitch it."
Interesting. Oh, and then Georgia just works for her as the same job that she had for Paul.
Yeah, or like
Maybe?
she's the Nick to Ellen's Paul.
I like
Yeah.
it.
But yeah, I like it. Wow, I did not catch that at the end. That's very scary.
Yeah. I
The
was
mom
like,
and the
oh no,
stepdad.
they've been found. And then I guess what did you think about the phone call from her dad, from Georgia's dad?
Very interesting. I wonder if the dad kind of feels the same way as all of the men in Georgia's life, where they blame Georgia or they blame Georgia's mom, or he blames Georgia's mom for all of the terrible things that have happened to him that have landed him in jail. So I wonder maybe that's what he was setting up for, or maybe he's actually a good person.
Yeah, that's kind of where my mind went. Where like, oh, maybe she's just been told lies about her dad, but her mom framed her dad for something he didn't do.
Yeah,
Oh,
unclear.
unclear. Uh, this is just a funny, a really funny scene. Towards the beginning, actually, when I think it was right after Ginny and Marcus have the conversation that's like, do you still love me? And Marcus is like, I don't love you anymore. And then Ginny leaves. And then Max heard the whole thing from the hallway. And then she comes in and he's like, how much did you hear? And she's like, I don't understand. I will not clarify. We kissed and I love you. I'm destined for sadness. Best friends forever.
I also really laughed at that. I was like, that was so accurate, Max.
So accurate. She's so funny.
I refuse to clarify that line especially. I was like, so true.
Literally.
Yeah. Oh my god. Okay. The other thing that one of this is what Preston said to Abby that I really hated. It felt very triggering. So Preston and Abby are making out, and then Abby stops him from going further, and then Preston says, Abby, don't be a tease. And then Abby gets down on her knees. Maybe there's a blowjob involved. Unclear.
Definitely gives him a blowjob. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Dude, I hate it when guys say this kind of stupid shit to women. It's so annoying. It's like they're intentionally manipulating you, and like negging falls in this category too. They're intentionally manipulating you and like making you feel bad about yourself so that you'll like give them sexual favors. That is so irritating to me. And I hate it when guys do this. It
was so disgusting. It was absolutely disgusting. And then when she confesses to him that she's been throwing up, and he's like, you probably shouldn't do that, and then just leaves.
Yeah. I was like...
He sucks.
He sucks.
He's the worst.
The actual worst character. Yeah.
Like, he has zero redeeming qualities about himself. They have not humanized this high school boy once in the 3 seasons that we've known him.
Yeah. It was bad. I thought he was gonna have a redemption arc when he and Abby kind of started dating-ish, but then, nope. Absolutely not.
Nope.
Yeah. But yeah.
I
think
know.
one time, I think there is, one guy that I was hanging out with, like, tried that once, and I was like, that is so disgusting. I never want to see you again. Please leave.
Literally, get the fuck out. Yeah.
I'm too much of a narcissist to fall for this.
Excuse me? You're lucky I'm even hanging out with you.
Seriously, I was like, first of all, you're welcome. You may stop kissing my feet now.
Actually, don't stop.
Yeah, anyway, I really hate that negging is a thing, and women, please don't fall for negging.
Don't let the men in your life get away with it. So it just teaches them that they can continue doing that.
And they can control you by making you feel bad about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So the only way to get past that is to feel good about yourself and to love yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I guess related to that was just Abby's arc of romance this season. It seems like she is taking a much more healthy approach to dating now and is following the direction of where she feels loved and valued rather than who makes her feel terrible about herself. So I was so happy for her.
Yeah, I love that. And also love that she was mad at Preston for being mean to Samantha at the end.
Yes.
When Samantha was like, oh, does this shirt make me look fat? And Preston's like, yeah. And then Abby's like, dude, what the, like, stop.
Be nice to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her. I was like, wow, you go, Abby. That was very mature of you.
Yeah. I love Abby. I remember in season 1, she and Max were my 2 favorite characters. And I think that might still be true at the end of season 3.
I think my favorite character is still Georgia.
Oh, iconic.
Iconic. I watched the show from the beginning because of Georgia, and I will continue to watch this show because of Georgia. Not Ginny. Blonde Georgia, just so we're clear. I'm not getting them confused.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah, except the one thing that they did that I was confused was they were egging Abby's dad's house with his new girlfriend, and I was like, eggs are so expensive.
In this economy?
In this economy? Yeah. Ugh, my heart broke with every eggshell that broke. Okay, should we do ratings?
Yes.
Okay.
I think I would give this season a 9 out of 10.
Whoa.
Yes, I thought the stories were really well done for the most part, kept me hooked, a lot of good character development, and I really fell in love with most of the characters, besides Press.
Yeah. I think I would give it an 8 out of 10. I think because the Austin thing really took me out. But I would agree. I think for the most part, it was a really good watch compared to season two. But yeah, I just couldn't get over. And I also think there were a lot of like unresolved storylines that maybe they were just teeing up for season four, but it was like a very, very small teaser to the point that I'm like, are they even teeing stuff up for season four, or is this just an out of the blue comment that didn't make sense? So yeah, unclear, but definitely will be watching season four the day it comes out.
Truly. Same.
Okay, binge in progress.
Bingy progressi.
So this is normally the segment where we talk about what we're watching outside of the podcast, but I specifically wanted to ask Shalini today about her thoughts on the new Lilo and Stitch live action film that just came out. Because I've been seeing a lot of mixed things on social media, so I wanted to get it straight from Shalini. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, okay. So, first of all, I would say in isolation, if the old version of this movie didn't exist and this was a brand new movie, we were seeing all of this for the very first time, I think for the most part, I would have really liked it. There were moments when I cried during the movie. I thought they made Stitch way cuter somehow in the live action versus the animated version. And I think there were like a lot of really heartwarming moments, and obviously, well, you know this, I love Hawaii, and I just love everything set in Hawaii and everything about Hawaii. And so,
Your
yeah,
dog
I
name is
liked,
Maui.
my dog's name is Maui. Yes, this is true. And so, yeah, so there were a lot of good things, I will say that. However, there were some egregious differences between the live action and the original animated version that I think in some ways completely ruined the point of the original movie. And so I'm sure some of this is what you've seen online, but I guess I'll just call them out. So I think the worst part is that they changed the end so that Lilo does not end up with Nani, her older sister, after all. She ends up in the foster system staying with her neighbor, who is more of a character. I don't think there's a neighbor character in the animated version, but there is in the live version. And so they try to paint it as like she gets to stay in the family, but like with the neighbor, but like everyone's family because Ohana. But it really goes against the entire ethos of Nani's character fighting the entire movie to keep a job so that she has a stable income so that she can care for Lilo and appease Child Protective Services. And also, the song that Nani sings in both the animated version and the live action version is called Aloha Oi. And the meaning of the song, or the history of the song, apparently was Queen Liliuokalani singing this to her people and it was a message of like, don't let them take my family away from me or something. It was when the Americans came and colonized or took over Hawaii. And so it was really symbolic of like the American foster system coming in and interfering with this Hawaiian indigenous family. And so like literally Nani's entire character is wanting to care for Lilo and not caring that her dreams were left behind because the number one thing in her life was family. And they completely got rid of that. I mean, she still sung the song, but like it makes no sense for her to sing that song and then just be like, "Oh, well, I guess it works out because now I can go to college." Yeah, that was the end. She goes to college.
Yeah, that is one of the things that I saw online. And then it wasn't even like she went to University of Hawaii or anything. She went to like
San
mainland.
Diego. Yeah. Yep.
Crazy.
Yeah, for marine biology. Guess what other school has a great marine biology program? University of Hawaii, the state that's surrounded by ocean. There's so much biology that's marine around here.
Arguably the only state university surrounded by ocean.
Truly.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, one other thing that I saw online that I wanted you to vet was, um, I don't know if this is propaganda or something else, but there was a line that apparently Nani says to Lilo, or someone says to Lilo, saying, "Oh, you're so smart. You should be in the Marines, or you should join the Marines or something." And some TikTok personality, Instagram someone was saying that this was a very intentional choice because in order for the Marines to have their name mentioned in this kind of content, it's like very intentional. They have to like get the rights somehow, and the Marines themselves have to sign off on this. So whenever you hear anything about the Army or the Navy or the Marines like in media like this, it's very intentional. So I think when I first heard that sentence of, "Oh, you're so smart, you should join the Marines," I was like, that's kind of weird, but I don't know, like, was that in the movie? Did you catch that?
That was in the movie. I think maybe in the TikTok it was taken a little bit out of context because in the movie it's because Lilo doesn't remember the word marine biology and she thinks that that's what Nani wanted to do. She's like, "Oh, blah 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 for when you join the Marines." And Nani's like, "Oh, no, that's not what I'm doing. I'm going to a marine biology program." So I think it was just a play on words. So
Okay.
I don't know if I totally believe that. Like, I think it's very possible that they wanted to put that joke in and show that Lilo's just a young girl that doesn't really know what's going on. And then that's how I guess they got the Marines permission to use that because they're like, "Can we use this joke?" And they're like, "Sure."
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I saw that kind of out of context and I was like, well, I know that there was a whole marine biology thing going on, and then this kind of it feels very insidious if it's true. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Was the TikTok trying to say that, like, it's propaganda to get people to join the Marines? Oh,
Something like
weird.
that, yeah.
Weird.
Like, oh,
Well, yeah,
if you're
that's.
a really smart person, you should join the Marines, that kind of thing.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I believe that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well,
One more really egregious thing. So the actress that plays Nani, her name is Sydney Agudong, is not Indigenous Hawaiian. She is half white, half Filipino, and apparently I saw a few Instagram posts about this. She pretended or she faked being Indigenous Hawaiian to get this role. So I think that's really bad. She is from Hawaii and she grew up in Hawaii, but she is not Indigenous Hawaiian and she claimed to get this role.
uh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh,
So that's really bad too. And they should have, well, first of all, Disney like should have looked into her background and done their homework, but also she shouldn't be faking her ethnicity.
yeah, she shouldn't be faking her ethnicity, but yeah, I think this is actually more Disney's fault, to be
Yeah.
honest. This is like yet another data point in a pattern of corporations just not doing their proper due diligence, which we covered in our apple cider vinegar episode, by the way. So,
Throwback, episode 2.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, that doesn't seem correct.
Yeah, it was
Yikes.
bad. So overall, like I think kids that watch this movie for the first time, having never seen the original, are gonna love this movie. I think it's super fun, but there are just these subtle things. Also, my last rant is about the Hawaiian roller coaster ride scene. So in the original movie, that moment is so meaningful because it's right after Nani has been failing all these job interviews. Stitch is a hot mess and like Lilo doesn't know how to control him and he's like single-handedly ruining everyone's life. And they hit rock bottom and they're like, "We're out of options. We don't know what to do." And then that's when David comes in and he's like, "I don't know if I can fix your problems, but all I know is that a couple of great waves can make anyone feel better." And like he just comes in and it's not a ploy to get to Nani. He just like wants to help them all. And then Hawaiian roller coaster ride starts and you're like, "Oh, I do feel like I'm saved by this Hawaiian roller coaster and like it's so meaningful. Whereas in the live action, obviously they wanted to keep the song in there because everyone really loves that song.
Yeah.
But it was just, oh, Nani's become a surf instructor to make a little bit of money, and David and Leela are just watching her from the beach and waving, and then they're like, we should join her, and then they go surfing, and then that's when the song plays.
Oh, it's not like a poignant thing around
No, it doesn't
the Hawaiian
hit the
roller coaster ride.
same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I also
Yeah.
saw on Instagram that David was just someone who's pining over Nani the entire movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like he doesn't have the same character depth that he had in the original of like wanting to support their family.
Yeah.
Also being in love with Nani, but knowing that she's not ready for anything right now.
Yeah. Well, not just into Nani because like, oh, I want to get with Nani, but more like I want to support this family. I think even in the animated movie, he said something like, I'm not a doctor, but I do know what can help this situation. And then they just go surf waves together.
Yeah.
Just wants to support them.
Yeah.
Ohana means family, and family means nobody gets left behind.
Or forgotten.
I forgot that part.
Thanks for yapping with us. If you loved this episode, have some hot takes we missed, or if you've got a show you're dying for us to binge next, follow us on socials. We're at Binge Yap Repeat.
Until next time, happy binging!